Saru, come to see me off? How nice that you'll be rid of me.
I do hope for the best of outcomes, but thankfully you and I have never had to parse words with one another. I fear this may be the last we see of you, and I want you to know that I have learned as much from you as I learned from our prime, Georgiou.
Where I'm from, we were prime, and you were the mirror.
As it should be. Good luck, Emperor.
Thank you, Captain.
Welcome, everybody, to Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast. My name is Mike Thurlow, and with me is my co-host, Johnson Lee. Johnson, happy Sunday. How are you doing today?
Happy Sunday, Mike. I'm doing okay. My weekend has been going fine, I guess. How are you doing?
The same. It was a busy Saturday and a much easier, more relaxed Sunday. So hence why we're recording on Sunday.
Yeah. What did you even do today?
Just watched church this morning and then did some laundry and like house chores. And I'm also starting to go through like clothes and stuff and trying to pare down what I have and what I wear and what I don't, and just kind of donate things and kind of clear out space.
Yes.
So yeah, trying to pare down a little bit. How about you? What did you do?
Also streamed church, and then I had lunch, and then wait, what did I watch? Oh, I watched some Voyager, actually. Yeah, I did watch some Voyager. I did some fish tank stuff. I did a little work, and now I'm here.
Now we're here. And you also, just like I did, we both rewatched the episodes we're gonna talk about today.
Oh yeah,
so,
I did that too. Yeah.
So. Well, you sort of gave it away a little bit as to what have you been Star Trekking this week.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
Tell us a little bit more about what you've been Star Trekking.
Yeah, so I have primarily been going through Voyager. So there is that. So right now I am in season 2. I'm enjoying my Voyager rewatch. I'm doing what you're doing, where I'm kind of picking and choosing episodes. I'm not like watching each and every single episode because there are just some duds in there. For example, I did not watch Threshold. This is the episode where, they go to Warp 10 and then Tom Paris and Catherine Janeway turn into like salamanders or something. Right. So I decided to skip that one because I was like, I don't.
That was in season 2, huh? I did not know that.
Yeah. So I decided to skip that one.
Okay.
But overall, yeah, I'm enjoying it. But I complain to you. I'm like, why are they're always at impulse? It's like 90% of the exterior shots when you're seeing Voyager, like when the establishing shot, right, when the teaser starts, it's like they're just drifting in space. I'm like, oh my God, they're not going anywhere.
They're not at warp. Yeah. There aren't a ton of shots from what I remember of Voyager at warp. It does always seem to be like
they're just
slow.
They're
pans
meandering.
Of the Voyager.
They're meandering
through the Delta.
And I get that. This is an opportunity for them to be exploring, but I'm also kind of like, you don't need to stop at every single M-class planet. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be part of your directive if you're trying to get home within a 70-year time span, So,
right.
But otherwise, yeah, I'm actually enjoying my rewatch for the most part. I'm liking it.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And then I think yesterday I was like cleaning, and then I was like, I just need something on the background. So I put on Star Trek Generations. Just in the background,
All right.
I like watched a little bit of it here and there, but for the most part it was kind of just playing. I really wasn't paying too much attention, but Yeah, I did that. And then I think I also, oh yeah, and then I finished Star Trek Generation. I mean, it ended in the background, and then I was like, what else is available for me to stream? And then I just started also just streaming Star Trek 6, because why not?
Oh, Star Trek 6 is great.
Yeah.
Love that one.
So that's it for me in terms of what I've been Star Trekking. What about yourself?
I haven't done a lot of Star Trekking this week. I did pick up the new Picard novel by James Swallow called The Dark Veil, I think.
Okay. And this is
on
the Titan
Audible
novel, right?
This is the Will Riker Titan novel. I did listen to the first chapter, and then because I started listening on Wednesday, and those of you who are hearing this, Wednesday was quite an eventful day here in the United States. So
yeah.
I listened for the first chapter and then got distracted by the events of the day, which initially were the counting of the electoral votes, and then all hell broke loose. So and a full scale insurrection kind of started in Washington. So
yeah, it was like Star Trek Insurrection, but not as fun.
Definitely not as fun. I would much rather have watched Insurrection.
I've only seen Insurrection once.
Really?
I've only seen it one time.
It's got some great parts in it. Obviously Deanna and Troy. Deanna, Troy, and Riker get together in it. Geordi gets his eyesight back, I think.
It has some like fun parts.
Yeah. And then there's a beautiful woman who becomes the love interest of Picard too. So the enemies of it seem a little bit overpowered and crazy, but I'm not a it's not my go-to.
I'm not too into the Sona. Like whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it's not it's a kind of a mid-range Star Trek movie for me. But I would have much rather watched that than what was on the news, to be honest. So I haven't really
I can't believe that was Wednesday. Oh my gosh.
Well, there are a lot of jokes that this, what a year this week has been, among other things. It's been and it kind of is ongoing. There's a lot of news going on, and it's at best distracting, at worst disturbing, and definitively just a real shit show.
Agreed.
So I could probably use some more Star Trek, but I did watch some other things just distract me while I was doing after I watched Terra Firma parts 1 and 2, which we're going to talk about here in a second. I did watch some other stuff to kind of distract me while I did laundry and house things. So not a lot of Star Trek. Definitely a need for more Star Trek. And one of the other things that I've seen on the internet lately is this wish that we could just be in the 24th century, which, who wouldn't after this week want to be in the 24th century?
Well, 2380 specifically, if we were to go with what we had talked about previously, if you recall.
I do and I don't. 2380 is the year that...
No. 2380 is the time around Lower Decks.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. Yep. So, but we're here in 2021, and
a while to go.
We have a while to go. Yeah, so, how about we do some spilling the track?
Sounds great.
All right, let's do it.
No, that is the easy way, and I know how that story ends. You die, I die, or both. But as of this moment, our future is unwritten. Let's make it count, shall we?
So this week we're talking about Terra Firma parts 1 and 2, and we're gonna talk about each individual episode separately. But we're obviously gonna cover them both in this podcast. So let me start out by reading just a brief summary of Terra Firma part 1. So the USS Discovery crew journeys to a mysterious planet in the hopes of finding a cure for Georgiou's deteriorating condition. Stamets and Adira make a stunning breakthrough with the newly acquired burn data. So, Terra Firma Part 1. What are your initial thoughts on that episode?
Yeah, so I think that your level of enjoyment for Terra Firma, like in general, parts 1 and 2, for me, part 1, the thing is, I'm kind of a Mirror Universe fan. And if you're not really a Mirror Universe fan, parts 1 and parts 2 are not going to be that enjoyable. Because like some people just feel like the Mirror Universe is kind of like ridiculous and over the top and a waste of time. Which I understand. But I am a big fan of the Mirror Universe because it helps to compare and contrast to our Prime Universe and how different our characters are. And it's honestly an opportunity for everyone just to be a little bit crazy and different. So it's kind of fun just to kind of see. Like the thing is, I've already said this before, I feel that Discovery can be a little bit melodramatic. But I feel if we're talking about Mirror Universe, it's actually okay. It's like the over the topness is part of how that universe plays out. And we see this across the board, like even from like Mirror Mirror to all the DS9 episodes, like everyone's just more over the top, more dramatic. They're like twirling their evil mustaches, but that's okay, So I personally think that I personally like these kinds of episodes because again, it gives kind of the cast something different, and we just see these like ridiculous side of the characters. So yeah, for me, I like this episode. I mean, the thing is like there was like, and the thing about parts 1 and parts 2, I know we're supposed to be just talking about part 1 right now, but for me, for both, I would say there is this. It's a little bit abrupt when we are covering a few different things. Things are going on Prime Discovery, and then we jump to the Mirror Universe, and then it's just Mirror Universe. And this also happens again in part 2, where after we leave Universe, it's almost like whiplash. You're like, oh, okay, back to covering what else is going on. So I feel that structurally it's a little bit weird. I wonder if like Terra Firma can just been one episode if they didn't have the beginning of Terra Firma Part 1 and the second half of Terra Firma Part 2. So I feel that they structured it a little oddly, and I don't know if it had to be a two-parter. It honestly could have just been like, it could have been like one slightly longer episode. I mean, like it could have been like a 55-minute episode or something like that. And honestly, we would have covered everything. So yeah, I mean, like overall, I enjoyed these two episodes. I thought that it gave Michelle Yeoh something different to work with. My overall thought, though, if we're talking specifically about, and we kind of covered this offline a little bit, I do think that I personally have, and this is my issue with Discovery, I think that there are just there's not enough buildup or not enough foreshadowing or not enough hints for these dramatic character shifts or character moments, because this is supposed to be Philippa, Emperor Georgiou's whatever her like redemption arc, but we haven't seen her, like I don't really feel like, especially season 2, since we got to spend more time with Mirror Georgiou, like I don't really feel that we got enough of that. She is softening, like she is seeing the merits of the Prime universe. Like she obviously was all badass, and she was a key player in the defeat of Control in the second season. But that was just her being badass. Like we didn't really see her kind of, really evolving this whole time. So then when she steps through the door and goes back to being in the Mirror Universe, and then we get to see this other side of her. I just thought that wasn't, for me, it really wasn't earned. It just felt like a shift for the purpose of giving her a redemption arc. It just I didn't feel there was enough of that change along the way for that to be merited. And then also the whole thing where, like, with Vance and Saru's conversation, where Vance is like, oh, she's like part of the crew, like you can't abandon her, otherwise it'll really affect you and it'll affect the way the crew sees you. I was also kind of like, we haven't really, like, she's been part of the crew, sure, but she's kind of just been around. I don't know if, for me, like, she has really integrated into the crew in a way that, like, she's part of the fam, she's kind of just this, like, badass element that helps to get shit done in key moments. Like, I don't know. So I thought that there were some setup issues with that, but then also, and I also complained to you about the toast at the end of part 2, where everyone is kind of toasting her, and I just didn't. My initial reaction was like, we haven't really even seen her interact with any of these people. Like, she interacted mostly with Michael, a little bit with Tilly, a little bit of Culber, but I mean, like, it just didn't really feel like we've seen her really engage as part of the crew in a way that would merit their toasts for her. Things like that just felt kind of disingenuous to me. So yeah, I feel like they tried to just basically give her this redemption arc, make her give her this visage that she was a valued member of the crew, that this was a painful moment for Michael, for everyone else. I don't know. There were some things that just didn't work for me. But at the same time, I really do enjoy the Mirror Universe stuff. So that's why overall I liked part 1 and part 2. But yeah, those are some of my initial thoughts anyway. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I share some of your thoughts on that, especially the 2 different storylines, like the Prime Discovery storyline and what's going on with Georgiou. I think that's a definite challenge. While you were talking, I was kind of thinking back and what would have made this even more enjoyable for me had it been like the first 10 or so minutes where they were beaming down to the planet and they were getting to this doorway. If all of that leading up to that point was in the previous episode and we kind of cut it off
at the
there
end or something. Yeah.
And the reason why I bring that up is because a couple of weeks ago when I think you and I were talking, we were talking through a little bit about the Enterprise episodes, the 2-parter in Enterprise. And so I actually watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And, the different music, actually, that's what brought it up when this first aired, when the second episode first aired a few weeks ago. We talked about how the credits were different, but the music wasn't. And so that prompted me to go back and watch a couple of weeks ago the Enterprise 2-parter and to see that again and see how that had all changed and everything. And so, I think that I like that it was a 2-parter. I think they could have done a little bit more with what's kind of going on in the Mirror Universe to make it even more interesting if they wanted to stretch it out to 2 episodes. But I kind of wish that first 10 minutes was in the previous episode and we were here at the beginning. Like, they could have ended that at first, the previous episode with her walking through the doorway and walking out and looking at the Mirror Universe and kind of ended it there. And then started the next episode with essentially, new music, which is the one thing they didn't do for this part, this 2-parter. But it would have been cool to kind of see a Terra Firma, like a 2-part standalone Mirror Universe episode. So yeah, I mean, so that's sort of where I agree that it was a bit disjointed and kind of like a side journey. And then once we were there fully, and we never went back to Prime Discovery. We don't find out until the end of part 2 why that is. But yeah, that's how I feel about that piece of it. And the other point that you brought up that is really true for me is I love how these actors get to act in the Mirror Universe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Captain Killy fan. She's just badass. She looks badass.
I know.
It's
Her hair is great. I don't know if
Her
that's
hair
wig
is
or what,
awesome.
but her hair is
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Love
the
her
costumes
hair.
are great. So over the top.
Yeah. You know, the costume designer,
I don't
Gersha
remember her name.
Phillips, I think is her name.
She's really good.
She's awesome. So yeah, the costumes are really good in this universe. You know, so yeah, it would just be great to, you know, it's just great to see them act in this way. You know, I love seeing Reese and Owo fighting it out for who's going to be the head of the guard. That was interesting. Mainly because out of all of the, you know, I like Detmer. I love Detmer too, but you know, Owo and Reese are two of my other favorites, and seeing them beat the crap out of each other for to be the head of her security was great. But honestly, like, I was watching this today and I was just watching Sonequa Martin Green just kill it. Oh my God. Like, if we had awards, or, you know, actually, you know, that's Emmy worthy, I believe, performance from her. Like, just amazing.
Really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, she really played so many emotions and just played a completely different side. And obviously, we never got to see her in the Mirror Universe in season 1. So yeah, it's just, she did an amazing job playing Michael in the Mirror Universe. And so I was just in awe of watching her do this. Like, the side eyes, the looks, the way her head tilted as she looked at you. Like, it was just, everything about it was great. And so yeah, huge props to Sonequa for that performance in the Mirror Universe. Just really awesome. You know, I felt like Michelle Yeoh's performance was a bit more subdued, a bit more nuanced as Emperor Georgiou.
I know, but that's one of my issues. Like, you know, in the when she's in the Prime Universe, she's so over the top, you know, and she's like the foil to everyone else. And then when she goes back, you know, they decide to change her. Like, she much, you know, and this is like, oh, because she's changed. She's been influenced by the Prime Universe, so she's different now. But I'm like, but we haven't seen any of that come through. I mean, you can try to argue, like, oh, you know, she's, you know, she has changed. It's just been, she's kept it inside, you know, or whatever. And now that she's back in the Mirror Universe, she can't help but feel different. But I don't really buy it. Like, you know, like, especially like if we're expecting her to kind of like basically still have to, she still has this in her brain, like this mantra of how it is to live and survive in the Mirror Universe, and she still has to apply that philosophy. Like, we've seen her apply that philosophy in the Prime Universe. Like, you guys, she's like, you know, like, you don't know what it takes to survive. You don't know, like, you know, what it takes to succeed. Like, she's always like had that variations of that mantra to the people around her in the Prime Universe. So to see her so subdued in some ways, and, you know, she gave Michelle Yeoh gave a great performance, especially in some of the more dramatic moments between herself and Michael. But you know, I was just like, this is a side of Mirror Georgiou we haven't seen, that I just am having problems buying it.
See, I didn't have a problem buying this, and the reason why is I'm thinking back to all the little steps, because that's the other thing about this show, about Discovery, is you have to, like, when you think about like people like Stamets and Adira and Hugh and all, you know, all the characters, you get glimpses of their story throughout the whole season. And you have to, you know, in pivotal episodes like this, you really have to go back and think through all the little moments that she's had during this season that may or may not be impacting her. So the first one comes to mind, like, just her, Michelle Yeoh's, Georgiou's urgency to get the Discovery off the crash planet from the beginning and go find Michael. So that's the first thing. And then you see their reunion and their discussion, in the hallway, missing her and worried about her, and also how Georgiou notices that Michael, when they first meet up with Michael, the little changes in Michael's attitude about having a little bit more freedom and choosing her own destiny, things that, so you get some character moments there. As we learn that she has this disease, I mean, she and Michael goes rogue. That's something that's very comfortable for her, but for Georgiou, but she still does it because she loves Michael. Like, there's just this deep connection that you see little snippets of throughout the whole thing. Even, when they're coming back from that episode and they're talking on the bridge and she says, it's a sign of weakness and I don't trust you, but she does. And then they bring her to sick bay, and there's just all of these little things. And also, like, some of her outbursts and all the things that you're probably thinking of, oh, this is still Georgiou. Well, of course it is, but also this is Georgiou who's been given a death sentence in this universe, and she's used to feeling like death is all about going down fighting, and this is how am I going to do that in this universe, and I can't.
So when it comes to Georgiou's relationship with Michael, I do agree that they've done a good job in terms of giving us, because that is that is an anchor for this Georgiou, the mirror Georgiou, in terms of her development that we have seen more of, like her relationship with Michael. That has been a constant in her life in both the mirror and the Prime universe. I think my issue is more just her world point of view. And, like, even for example, like, when Georgiou went back to the mirror universe and, she, like, for example, when she's talking to Michael, when they're sitting down and Michael is talking about, she went to this planet and there are like all these artists or whatever. And then Michael basically like blinded the artists and cut off their hands, right? Like, which is very mirror universe. Like Georgiou was almost like shocked, like, we see her face. And like, okay, come on. Like, like I there are things like that, or like, her compassion towards Mirror Saru and things like that. I feel that she had, like, they've given us a softer Mirror Georgiou in this episode than we've previously seen. I do think that with Michael specifically, she obviously has a soft spot for Michael in whatever universe. I think that I definitely agree with. But I think overall, Georgiou's character has not universally softened since we were introduced to her originally back in season 1. And you can argue, like, she has been, like I said before, she's been affected by the Prime universe more than we've seen in this, and she just maintains this like hard facade because that's who she has to have, that's what she has to be. But I'm having problems buying that, or at least, that was my reaction both in the initial viewing and even in this viewing. I just have problems kind of swallowing that she's changed this much. By the end of Terra Firma Part 2, she's like, I don't want to go back there. Like that didn't really like work for me.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. The other little piece that I thought of too that shows her changes is how she bids farewell to Saru and Tilly hugs her, and
but that was already a departure. That was such a massive departure from like where we've seen her previously.
Yeah, I mean, even from earlier in the episode when she throws her food on Tilly. I mean, that's also, that's a.
But that does, she was just angry. I think in that case, like, I would go back to where you're saying, like, that was an outburst because she was feeling defensive, like, she was feeling weak, so she needs, that was an outburst. But so I mean, like, so her letting Tilly hug her, I was just like, oh, this feels already a little off for me in terms of like how we've been presented with her character. Liam to this point. But anyway, that was my kind of like
fair enough. I mean, we have two different perspectives, and that's totally cool, right? But yeah, I mean, it's and then we, the little jaunt to the doorway, we meet Carl, at this time. So when we first watched this episode, we had no idea who Carl was. whether he was a Q, whether he was the Guardian of Forever, whether he was some other alien being. How did the sphere data know that this was the place for them to be? And also, just as we talk very briefly about the sphere data, we do get some context from the temporal wars at the beginning of this episode when Culber and the guy from Section 31, who I don't know his name, but anyway, creepy guy. He reminds me of Smoking Man from X-Files.
He does have a little bit of that
vibe. So so we have that, and that piece of it. We learn about Danis 5, where the Discovery goes to find this cure, which is only a 5% cure, right? So the best that Culber can tell them all is, it's a 0 versus a 5% chance of survival. So, and they still do it. So, there was this big debate on the internet in between the two episodes back a while ago about who Carl was. Right. Really like the actor who played him. He played in CSI,
the police officer, the detective.
He's a great actor. I thought that was a great choice. I thought that the having this being just sit there in a chair, like a lawn chair, essentially, with reading the newspaper, which as it turned out, and I saw these theories, the newspaper is sort of the giveaway as to who this is. But you have to kind of pay attention to that, and I didn't see it on the first run.
Freeze frame and zoom in.
So I saw the theories online, saw the whys, it made sense.
Yeah,
so it wasn't exactly surprised later on.
Well, I didn't read so you read up on the theories, I didn't. So when it was revealed in part 2, I was like, oh my god, that was a delightful surprise.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that piece of it, and the fighting that kind of goes on, and the mystery of who this is and what's going on. But just some of the points in the mirror universe when we do get there, the theatrics of that went on telling the story like a theater performance of
so dramatic.
Yeah, but also killing Stamets there, right? Right on because he was about to try to kill her, which seemed pretty stupid. I
know. I was like, could you pick another moment that's less public or something?
Yeah, but it's also watching the eyes and watching watching Michael's eyes on what's going on and knowing that she's probably behind this and everything. It was
everyone's like, there's a lot of like looks, like go from look to look. It's like I feel they can make a GIF out of it or something.
Yeah, lots of
people looking at each other, side eyes.
Yep, exactly. So, and then we're confronted at the end with Georgiou saying, knowing that Michael has betrayed her and basically nearly takes her life. And that's sort of where part 1 ends up. They track. She suddenly leaves, which I thought was really stupid right from the get-go. Who would get up in the middle of of all of this and leave? And so I thought that was a bit out of character for someone who's plotting to kill Georgiou. You want to keep it on the down low. You can't, the idea would be to stay there, to look at Stamets and say, I wonder who was doing all this. But instead she gets up and leaves after she encourages the crowd to say all hail Georgiou. So, or long live Georgiou. I forget which one she said, but and then she walks out. I mean, how stupid is that? But Georgiou is faced again with a choice that probably, if we assume that this is just a replay of what happened prior to when the Discovery jumped to the mirror universe back in season 1, that this is probably where she possibly killed Michael. Who knows? But
I was trying to remember, because when she meets Michael again in season 1, she's like, oh, how are you alive? I mean,
it
sounds like it sounds more like Michael kind of ran off with Lorca or something like that. I don't remember. I just rewatched.
Yeah, which is totally
season
possible.
one.
And also, to be honest, I'm kind of glad that we did not get Lorca back. I think that would have been a huge distraction to kind of have, I love Jason Isaacs, but I don't think I'm glad that they didn't that Bowie and Erica didn't bring him back for this episode, for this arc either. So yeah, just
But Landry came back.
But Landry came back.
Yes, Landry came back.
Landry has now been killed 3 times in
Yeah.
Discovery.
Oh my gosh, poor Landry.
But she doesn't get killed until part 2. So yeah, so we're kind of at the end. Georgiou spares her life. She's trying to redeem her daughter. That's her goal. And end part 1, right? That's where it kind of cuts off.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, is there anything else about part 1?
Well, I mean, if we go back to the Prime Discovery, right, we have the Discovery, Stamets and Adira figure out that it's a ship with the Kelpians on it.
Right.
So it's been 125 years. They've been sending out this message. It's crash landed, but that's all we really know. So there's a huge Kelpian tie-in that's kind of announced. The other key piece of this part of it is that Saru does not inform the Admiral about this discovery yet. He kind of waits, which comes back to kind of not really bite him, but could bite him at the end of the part 2. But
I was okay with that. Like, obviously he's, we go into this whole thing where he's kind of being, his emotions are kind of playing into his decisions because of these Kelpians. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, I'll buy the excuse that, you want a little bit more information before you report back rather to Starfleet Command, and just so you have a little more context or like some sort of next step. But yeah, we do kind of start to see the start of Saru's kind of feelings and emotions play into his commanding decisions here.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So there's that. And then the only other small piece that comes back at the end of part 2 is books wanting to contribute.
Yeah, that was really tiny.
Yeah. So again, I stand by it. I think we could have put all of that stuff in the first part, the end part of the previous episode from Sanctuary, and dived right into Terra Firma here from the beginning, which would have been really cool. So end part 1, right?
Yeah, I think that's about it for part 1.
This era is different. More Terran than where you came from. Saru has navigated Discovery admirably. But he's not the only one who's suited for the captain's chair. You have always been far greater than you could imagine, Michael.
So have you, Philippa.
Cool. Should we talk about part 2?
Yeah, let's talk about part 2 now. So part 2 is obviously Terra Firma part 2. Georgiou uncovers the true depths of the plot against her, leading her to a revelation about how deeply her time on the USS Discovery changed her. So we come back and Georgiou has thrown Michael into the Agonizer, which is even more powerful than I think we've seen it before.
I know, it looks the special effects help. But yeah, when we saw it in Enterprise and TOS, it wasn't as dramatic looking, but yeah.
And this is also why I give huge props to Sonequa Martin Green. I mean, she carries this episode. I mean, she's really the bridge between this. In this instance, Georgiou kind of stays in her quarters and kind of watches the proceedings. She gets Killy to interrogate her and try to break her, which she does. But so it's not the first part of this episode really isn't heavy on Georgiou. It's sort of like Michael's torture and that whole piece. And also, in part 2, we get the opening, the inverted dark blue opening credits. The music is the same, unfortunately.
I know, too bad.
Nothing new.
Lost opportunity.
Yeah. So yeah, we get to see that. We see her Georgiou continuing to try to reach Michael, right?
Yeah.
I think that's for her, I think this is where it really comes down to, this is the anchoring relationship for her. This is something that has saved, obviously Prime Michael saved Mirror Universe Georgiou, brought her to the Prime Universe. This is where all of this started. Her rehabilitation, or not really rehabilitation, but her useful skills played into a ton of season 2 and section 31. We see her travel to the 31st century or the 32nd century to be with Michael, to follow Michael. And here we are in the Mirror Universe, and Georgiou is still trying to rehabilitate Michael to have her rule by her side. So, and again, Sonequa just kills the scenes with her. On first watch, when we get to the end of the episode, or the end of the Mirror Universe part of the episode, I missed the knife in the neck. I totally
really?
I missed that until Michael.
You were like, why is she dying?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pick up on it. I didn't see it. And then on this rewatch, I really rewatched the fight scene. So there are obviously a couple of huge fight scenes. Michael shockingly tries to betray Georgiou.
I know, surprised.
But the piece that was really interesting, obviously we see Landry die because Michael has to redeem herself. She also has to kill Detmer because she's killed all of the other traitors except for Detmer. So she kills Detmer, and then they go after Lorca. And thankfully, Lorca, like I just said earlier,
does not make an appearance.
So we are good there. But then her revolution begins again, and that we see the Kelpians come back. So Saru actually plays a big part of this episode too. Actually, she knows about Varahi. I don't know. Vahari,
I think so.
Yeah. So she tells Saru to, when he's feeling that way, to go spend a couple of days away from her, and let the madness pass, and he'll be a new person. So we kind of see the effects of that as he comes to her rescue, albeit too late. But yeah, you really see the redemption, quote unquote, of Michael. She wants to be part of this. She and Georgiou have, a bunch of exchanges, which are, again, like, this really, for me, hits home that Georgiou really needs Michael. Like, that is, her daughter, that is her connection, her grounding. That's why she does everything.
Right. I do agree that Sonequa Martin Green does a great job here. My only issue, and this is my issue with a lot of Mirror Universe characters, is that we don't really, like, she pretends that she is loyal now. She does what she needs to do to regain, quote unquote, regain the trust of Emperor Georgiou, to get back into the fold, and then she basically just betrays her again. But my issue here is that I feel there's this missed opportunity, because the problem with all the Mirror Universe characters is that they're all very one-dimensional. They're all kind of evil. Philippa Georgiou is the only one that we've seen fleshed out, and some of the DS9 characters as well, where they're a little more complex. They're not just all universally evil. Just because you're Terran doesn't mean like you're a bad person. In DS9, we saw, because that we saw much more there. But here, like, I feel there's just this opportunity for us to really dive deeper into Mirror Michael and what she's thinking, because she's really focused on this idea that Emperor Georgiou is weak, and she doesn't deserve to be in power because she is weak, or she has become weak or shown weakness, right? And then we get the scenes of her kind of being tortured and such, and her deciding that she wants to survive, that she'll do what she needs to survive and to get back into the fold. I wish there was something more to Mirror Michael that would show us her, how she's conflicted, in terms of how she feels about her mother. Like, is there more, does she just not love her anymore? Like, there's just like something missing here that I feel could have made her more complete as a character. That, again, I feel was a missed opportunity because, yes, we just see her just go back to her original decision to betray Emperor Georgiou, but there really isn't much complexity to that decision that we see. So I wish we could have seen more of that, particularly, because we see Emperor Georgiou's love for Michael, like that whole scene where there's a whole Firefly story and stuff like that. Like, so Emperor Georgiou, we see this side of her that's more complex in terms of how she feels about Michael. She's not one dimensional. We're being presented with an Emperor Georgiou that's not one dimensional. It's not just about survival. She does have feelings for Michael, and even when she was like, yeah, when your night terror stopped, I was kind of sad. I thought that was a really great scene, and a good monologue for Michelle Yeoh. But I just wish we saw some of that complexity returned in Mirror Michael's character. So yeah, I just, she went back to kind of being this like, just one-dimensional, mustachy, twirling villain, I wish that we just saw something just a little bit deeper.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, I totally agree. I think it would have made it even much more powerful.
It could be more powerful, yeah. Like, if there was this conflict, if she had to wrestle with this somehow.
Yeah.
And ultimately if we even saw her wrestle somehow, and then if she like decided to stick to her guns, and this was in some ways like a decision that she didn't come to easily, like something like that, to give us a little bit more to chew on, it would have been great. But they decided to not do that, obviously.
Well, and I just thought of this. The whole idea is that this is all happening in Georgiou's mind, which we find out, in a few minutes after her death scene, and Saru's holding her, and she kind of leaves the mirror universe. We do find out that this all happened within a second's time in the real world. So this is really all taking place in Georgiou's mind. So it's sort of,
is it in her mind? Because the Guardian of Forever, didn't the Guardian of Forever also say that? And I didn't rewatch all of part 2, but didn't Carl / Guardian of Forever also say that you made a difference in Saru, and that
in the Kelpians, yes,
and that saved more lives? Because in my mind, it was like she was potentially sent to like almost like a different timeline based upon what the Guardian Forever said, and she made some sort of difference in that timeline.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're very unclear about the whole piece. It happened for a second or a minute in Prime Universe. She was there for 3 months in whatever universe the Guardian of Forever sent her to. Mm-hmm. It's really unclear. She has 3 months.
Her thing registered 3 months of data. Her monitor.
Yes. Yeah.
So something happened. It wasn't just
something happened, right? Yeah. But I think just going back to my point is just saying that I think this is all really from Georgiou's perspective. Like, probably if we broke it down, not every scene had Georgiou's perspective. We had to add a few scenes to kind of fill out the universe, but and to fill out the situations that were happening. But I think primarily that's why there isn't a ton of like buildup of who Michael was, because this is all about Georgiou. This isn't really about a mirror Michael who isn't who is or is not really the mirror Michael. Who knows? So yeah, I mean, I agree that I think it would have been more powerful had it been 2 episodes standalone, like all mirror universe right to the end. Then I think we could have. I think that would have given the writers the room to kind of fill out those characters and gotten to have more conversations and more fullness of character development. But that wasn't how this was plotted out, unfortunately. So but we do get back to the Prime universe. We just talked about some of the details, and then finally they ask, I think it was Michael who says, who are you? And Carl's voice changes into the Guardian of Forever's voice, and how cool is that?
Who are you? Really?
Really?
I am the Guardian of Forever.
And then all of a sudden, out of splinters, it looks like the portal shows up, which
that was very
just
cool.
It was very
Especially,
well done.
I didn't expect it because, again, I didn't read any potential spoilers or theories in that regard, but I was like, well, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, one, the voice just gives it all away, obviously, and then the appearance of the portal again, just really awesome, and obviously brought up to date for 2020, right?
So, yeah, definitely brought up to date.
But again, really cool. And then you have a really powerful scene between Georgiou and Michael, saying their goodbyes, saying how much they mean to each other. Georgiou, even to the point, and I think this further confirms my thoughts about just how bonded they are and how important to Georgiou Michael is. She wants Michael to go with her,
right,
and the Guardian says she can't, so she's on her own. She's predicted to have some ups and downs. She's being sent back to a time where the universes were more closely aligned, but we don't get a time frame. We don't know when or how. And she leaves, and we get this, obviously there's been a lot of chatter over the last couple of years actually about this Section 31 series.
I know, it's been years since they've been talking
about it. It really
has,
years. Yeah. So, and I'm really surprised that we didn't get some news out of Star Trek about a potential Section 31.
I mean, didn't they announce, or there were rumors about a Section 31 series before, like, even Picard? I don't remember.
Yeah, definitely before Picard came out. So we're talking over a year ago, for sure. Yeah, I think it's just actually, I think it was announced way back when Alex Kurtzman kind of laid out all of his plans for Star Trek, and having multiple series. And so we don't know anything about it, surprisingly. Maybe there'll be some surprise announcement really soon. There aren't any real conventions coming up that I can think of. So we don't know when we'll kind of hear more about this, or if we will. But the writers of these two-parters, Erica Lippold and Bowie Kim, are supposedly the lead writers, if not the showrunners, on this Section 31 show. So it's it's hard to know if obviously there was little hints here and there in the news that they were working on scripts, but who knows what has kind of changed with 2021, and also just in the last year, what's changed. I mean, the world is a different place, and maybe to some extent CBS has cut back on funding, and we've announced a Star Trek Strange New Worlds show, so maybe that maybe she'll appear as part of that. Who knows? But maybe the funding is not all there to have, Star Trek year round, every week, something new. Who knows?
And Michelle Yeoh is also busy. Like, she has other projects.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not like she's just waiting around for Section 31 to start, Yeah. Like, they probably also need to work with her schedule.
Exactly. So yeah, who knows what's gonna happen. So we're back on the Discovery. We have a farewell scene. We have which you touched upon a little bit. I thought it was a nice tribute. I think that in a small crew like Discovery, I think even though we didn't see the scenes and we didn't see all these characters interact with her, I think that there was, it's hard to not acknowledge Georgiou's presence on a ship that small with that small of a crew. It's just not possible, I don't think. So I think that it was a nice scene where they paid tribute to her. But the part that I really want to get to is, so we've located the Kiev.
Yeah.
We know where we're going. Book went off book. and installed some
Like back-end tech.
software
Yeah.
tech that helped them discover all of this. And then, the key part here, and this is where you kind of wonder about Saru's kind of state of mind, and the admiral kind of checks him on it and says, I can understand, I just need to know you're distracted. And Saru, I feel like Saru lies here. I really feel like that was the first time that Saru kind of told a lie.
Do you think he lied, or he just didn't realize the extent to which he was being affected?
I mean, based upon his other characteristics and how his character has kind of grown over these last couple of years, I have to think that Saru is fairly self-aware. And maybe when it comes to Kelpians, that's his blind spot. Could be. I mean, most people, most humans, most beings have a blind spot in some way, shape, or form. So maybe the fact that this is because it involves Kelpians, this is his blind spot. But I've actually felt like Saru, like, how could he not be affected by this?
Right.
And how could he not realize that he wasn't affected by this? So I want to say I'm leaning towards this feeling that he actually really did lie to the admiral.
I thought the other way. I thought that he just didn't, because we even see later on, when I don't remember the name of the episodes, but they're on the Lithium planet or whatever, and it was that critical moment when he was like, "No, I'm the captain. I need to go back to Discovery," and Michael had to basically she had to point out basically that he was more affected than he was saying. So to me, the way that I read this was that he was not fully cognizant of how much he was being affected by the fact that there's a Kelpian ship in the middle of all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a fair assumption too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're kind of, that's where we leave off with Terra Firma.
Did anything else happen in part 2?
No, I think it was all Terra. It was mainly Terra Firma, and then,
and we just wrapped up a few other things. On the Discovery.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it would have actually been really great to just, again, if we were to rewrite or reprogram this episode, it would have been great to kind of end with the scene in the commissary, or whatever you want to call it, where they're just toasting Georgiou, and that's kind of where it ends. And then we pick up on new stuff, the next week. But yeah, there wasn't a lot to come back to. We saw the Guardian disappear after Georgiou went through it, and that was it.
Right.
And Michael returns. Book goes to greet her. We have the farewells. We have Vance.
The Vance scene, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, next week we're headed towards this to Su'Kal. We're gonna find Su'Kal. So
yeah, it's kind of like a 3-part arc, really. It's kind of like one thing.
Yeah,
leading up to the finale.
Yeah, so we only have 3 episodes left to go. But we've said goodbye to yet another character. Georgiou is gone from the crew, and yeah, so here we are at the end of Terra Firma Part 2. I think that's everything. I think we did a pretty deep dive. We spilled a lot of Trek here.
So overall, what did you think of? Because I remember, like, at the end of Part 2, when we were slacking, you seemed somewhat underwhelmed. Your initial reaction. Do you remember?
I don't remember my initial reaction. That's interesting. Maybe because at that time I had figured out the whole Guardian of Forever piece, but still liked how they did that. That might have been it. Yeah, I don't remember.
I expressed more enthusiasm after watching Part 2 than you did upon
On
initial
first
watching.
viewing, yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't really get into why. You just you expressed slightly less enthusiasm, and then I think kind of said that you wanted to think about it a little bit, and then we never went back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember why. I mean, I really enjoyed watching this two-parter. I mean, it's a great, Sunday afternoon watch to watch the Mirror Universe for 2 episodes. So, and I'm a huge fan of Michelle Yeoh. She's another strong, powerful woman that I would love to get a picture with at
yes, we know. Joey
future.
mentioned that if she's at a convention, it's like all over.
Yeah.
You would be there in a flash.
I would be there. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, no, I don't. I feel I enjoyed this two-parter. I really did. Aside from a few, editorial changes that just on how it would have been great to have new music. It would have been cool to have a two-parter where it was almost all in the Mirror Universe, but we have what we have. And
I don't know, like what do you think they would do with like a full two-parter that was in just the Mirror Universe, though?
I mean, I think they could have explored more. Yeah, I mean, well, like we've talked about, I think they could have developed out the characters a little more. We could have seen.
Oh, I see.
We could have, we got a lot of, we've got a lot of Killy from season 1, but we didn't really get to see the others. And so this was a real chance to see Oo as the head of her guard. We could have seen, the insurrection. Like for me, when they attacked Georgiou in the room after they beam that guy off of the shuttle, and and the people who came in, the doctor was there. Culber was there. He was a traitor.
Wasn't Reese a traitor? Was Reese a traitor?
Yeah, Reese was a traitor. So was not Detmer. Detmer was already dead.
Yeah, Detmer.
I think it was Nielsen Nielsen from the con. So she's a pilot. Like I'm wondering, like, how did she get away and get down to help with this insurrection while she was piloting the ship? And Killy's on the bridge with her. Like I just don't get that piece of it. So there, that's the part that I really didn't understand, is how did all those people kind of gather back in the brig again when half of them were on the bridge and they were in orbit over Risa, so that's the part that I don't really understand. That's kind of like one of those things you kind of have to overlook, I guess.
I didn't think about it that much, like in terms of the actual like logistics of how they got there and such.
Yeah, no, that definitely came up for me. I'm like,
but basically the entire crew is against Georgiou. I mean, like by the end, right? Like the takeaway is like essentially it's like everyone except for Killy, Saru, or nameless Kelpian, I guess, because technically his name here is not Saru. And also the honor guard or whatever.
Yeah, the honor guard.
Everyone else is basically a traitor.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I mean, like it's just like for narrative purposes, they wanted like that scene and the drama, but I'm kind of like, all right, so everyone doesn't like her, I guess.
Fair point. I think though, Killy, the reason why I question it is because Killy is such a great captain, like a strong captain. Like she would keep her crew in line, and that's why I think I'm curious as to how that whole logistical piece came about. Again, those are some of the things I think that could have been built out had we had more time in the Mirror Universe and had 2 standalone episodes where it was just all that. But we done. It was great episodes to watch. I enjoyed watching them again. I would watch them again in a season 3 rewatch from the beginning. I would watch it again. So yeah. I don't know. I don't remember why I was underwhelmed the first time around, but definitely not underwhelmed the second time.
Okay. Got it. Cool.
Yeah. Anything else for Terra Firma Part 1 or 2?
I don't think so. I mean, I hopefully the Section 31 series, something happens to it, even if it's like a, I don't know, limited engagement or whatever, just so we have, because we're kind of left with a cliffhanger with Mirror Georgiou, and I want to know what happens.
Yeah, I would
At
like
some
to
point.
know as well. Yeah, that would be great. Even if it is a mini series or a limited series, I think it would be great to have it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, do you want to tell our viewers do you want to tell our listeners how they can get in touch with us if they have any thoughts on Terra Firma's Part 1 and 2?
Yeah, so we would love to hear what you guys think about these 2 episodes. You can email us at deepspacepride@gmail.com, and you can also DM us or tweet us on Instagram and Twitter, respectively, at deepspacepride. And again, as usual, we will do our best to respond to all your comments and questions. But
great.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah. See you guys soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut!